Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Carnivorous Grandma Speaks Women of Wisdom series. Tonight, I'm super excited to have with me Carrie Kissner at My Metamorphosis. And before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and read my scripture that I have for this series. It's Proverbs 14 and 1, and it says, this is the NIV version. It says, "The wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears hers down." And I always read this scripture because it really resonates with me for women who are choosing a proper human diet. Us as being wise women who are choosing to build our houses instead of tearing them down with the foods and that we're eating and the choices that we're making. So welcome, Carrie. So glad to
Hi.
have you here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Robin. It's about time we connect.
Yes, I totally agree. I've been seeing you all over the place and I'm really looking forward to having you, hearing your story and having you on. Nurse Kim is here. Hey, Nurse
Ah,
Kim.
hi,
I'm so
Kim.
glad you're here. And then Judy D is also here. So, Carrie, will you just take a moment to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. Okay, my name is Carrie. I am 57, very soon to be 58 on the 1st of March. Um, I got into, well, I guess first of all, I will just go into a little bit of like my background in terms of what I do for a living. I work as what they call a business intelligence specialist. So I have
Oh,
to use my brain a lot. And that ties into some of the benefits that I've noticed with carnivore. So I have been with my employer for, it will be 35 years on the 1st of April.
wow.
So that's kind of my service anniversary date is sort of like, April Fools, you've been here for this long. um, but I got started in carnivore back in December of 2022. But prior to that, in 2015, I was looking into what to do about type 2 diabetes, or specifically how to prevent it, because my mother was type 2 diabetic, and I saw how the quality of her life just deteriorated. And it wasn't a sudden deterioration, but you could see it as time passed by. And she ended up being on more and more medication to the point where she was actually on a fast acting insulin and then also on a slow acting insulin.
Mhm.
And basically, she ate what she wanted. They told her that that was what she could do. She ate what she wanted, and she just kept taking more and more insulin, and she gained weight. She was of normal weight when she was diagnosed with diabetes, and she was in her early 60s when that happened. And so you fast forward a couple of decades, and she ended up having heart problems. She ended up passing of congestive heart failure. So she didn't lose any limbs or anything like that. But she was always a very active person. She loved music and going to shows. Now her music of choice was country, and I like some of that. But the point is, though, we were very much alike in that way. We loved going out and hearing live music. And
Mhm.
she and my dad would go to shows quite frequently. And it got to the point to where she couldn't go. And that just struck me as very sad, because music was her life. I mean, she moved to Nashville not to become a musician, but because she just loved the music so much. And so it just makes me very sad and angry that her diabetes progressed to that point and it wasn't treated like a carbohydrate allergy. And instead, it was like, oh, just take this medicine and you can just eat what you want. And so she passed away in 2021. But back in 2015, I saw the decline. And you're told if you ever have gestational diabetes that you are at a higher risk of becoming type 2 diabetic. And I did have gestational diabetes with my daughter. So this was
Mm.
in the, well, it was in 1984 was when I was expecting her. And of course, back then the treatment was different. They actually told me to avoid all the what you'd call white foods like potatoes and pasta and things like that. So I was very concerned that I would become type 2 diabetic. My mother had to give herself shots. I hate needles. I mean, I don't think anybody necessarily loves them, but I mean, I just really, it's like I can't imagine giving myself shots. That's one thing. And I just didn't want to end up to where I couldn't do the things I enjoy doing, to where I couldn't interact with my grandkids to play or just, be active, go to the zoo, whatever it is that I wanted to do. And so I started researching diet, and I found, and this was before I ever really got interested in YouTube. So it was all like websites and stuff, but I found like Dr. Michael Eads and let's see, Dr. Jason Fung. I found Mark Sisson.
Mm-hmm.
And so I sort of started, I guess you would call it like low carb / paleo at first, but then I just gradually just started reducing my carbs more and more and more. And the more I read and the more I researched, I just started reducing my carbs. And so I never was type 2 diabetic myself, and my numbers have always been great, and they have been great with keto and carnivore, with the exception of LDL. And boy, my LDL jumped up with carnivore. I mean, it had gone up with keto and / ketovore, but it really, my LDL is like 297.
So I think I saw a video where you and Christy were talking about this, right? So
Mhm.
are you considered to be a lean mass hyperresponder as well?
I have low triglycerides, and my HDL is high. So I have like a slightly less than 1 ratio between the HDL and triglycerides. So I think, let's see, I can't remember the exact number. It's like 77 triglycerides, 79 or 80, something like that of HDL. So, but my LDL just skyrocketed. And I had also had my fasting insulin checked, which I asked for that. And my doctor ordered it. And he said, you might have to pay for it yourself. And I did have to pay for it myself, but that's okay.
Mhm, mhm.
And my fasting insulin was 2.8. So I was very thankful because you can have normal glucose for years and years and years, but your insulin level is creeping up and up and up and up. And that's part of why people gain weight.
Mhm. Oh, looks like we got a little
Oh,
bit of
I stumbled into carnivore. It was quite by accident. I wasn't eating very many vegetables anyway. And
Mhm,
it eat vegetables. I couldn't eat salad anymore. I had stopped eating salad, probably 2 or 3 years before then, because it was just destroying my stomach. It was like I would just bloat and just have stomach pain when I ate salad. And I
mhm,
didn't really mind eating salad. It's just that it did not like me. And so I stopped eating it. So basically, if I had any kind of veg, it would be either, generally speaking, it would be maybe spinach or cauliflower, broccoli, and maybe having some like cheese sauce or something like that on it. So I
yeah.
was just eating meat and very little veg anyway. But what's really shocking is just the effect that carnivore had on me. So I have a neighbor who works for a food supply company, and he brought me these. It was right after Christmas, so I don't remember the exact day that this happened. I didn't realize at the time how much it would impact my life, so I just really don't remember, and I didn't make note of it. But
Right.
he brought these boxes of meat, and it was like Canadian bacon, regular bacon, burger patties, all this meat. And so a big thing of, big tub of bologna. And so I ended up having to actually give some of it to my daughter because I just didn't have enough room for it. I don't have like a box freezer or anything. So I did stock my freezer, and then I had it crammed in my refrigerator, and I was just eating off of that. And so I stopped eating vegetables altogether. I was just eating
Mm,
on all that meat that he had given me.
wow.
So,
So
so
just kind of
then, yeah.
naturally. Interesting.
Yeah. I didn't eat vegetables at all. So then somewhere around, it was after maybe a month or so, it was the early part of 2023. I was scrolling through YouTube. I had discovered YouTube by this point. Pretty much all I ever watch now is and actually for quite a while, it's just like documentaries and things like that on YouTube. I don't watch regular television at all. Just there's nothing there that is beneficial, and it
Mm,
doesn't do my brain any good to see news and negativity. So I don't allow that in my life. So I will just watch the documentaries and things like that on YouTube. And I was, just kind of scrolling through, and I saw these, and I do watch low carb people, or did, I was already in the habit of watching some low carb folks
mhm,
on YouTube anyway. So I saw a video about carnivore, and I honestly don't remember who it was. It was probably Dr. Barry, but it also could have been. And I just,
yeah.
subsequently that same day, I ended up watching like Dr. Chafee and different other ones, other carnivore videos, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I got to thinking, I was like, I have just sort of inadvertently become carnivore, and I'm like, and then what's funny is, kind of around this same time, I just realized that my lifelong anxiety is
Mhm.
gone.
Mm.
Just, yeah. I had my first panic attack when I believe I was 20, but I was at work, and my job wasn't a particularly bad job. I actually adored the boss slash owner. He was a wonderful man, and I'm actually still best friends with his daughter to this day. And so my job wasn't a bad job. It was, I don't know what triggered it, but this panic attack was so bad. And I just suffered through it. I didn't know what it was. And I don't know. It's kind of this, just suck it up, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and just, tough it out. So that was what I did. But the bad thing about this panic attack, the scary thing
Mhm.
about it, is that it never really, for about 3 weeks, it didn't really go away. It was always there. Like sometimes it would wax and wane. It would get worse. It would get so bad I thought I was just going to die, to be honest. Like I couldn't catch my breath. And then it would just like tamper down a little bit, and I would still maybe like feel like I wasn't completely catching my breath, or but it wasn't like I was that, like I didn't at that point like really feel like I was going to die, but it was almost, and I felt like I had no control, like somehow I was just very my equilibrium was just way off in terms of just not reality, but it was just, it was a very disconcerting feeling to just have this happen, and you don't know what's causing it,
Mhm.
and you don't nobody really talked about it back then, because this was like in, let's see, when I would have been about, let's say I was born in 66. Let's do the math real quick. It was like 1987, 88, like around that time frame is when this happened. Now, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, it went away.
Mhm.
And I have no idea why it went away. It just went away.
Yeah.
But it would come and it would go. Now, I never had one again that lasted that long.
Okay.
Usually it would be a very short duration when I would have them after that. However, I would still just periodically have them, and I never could really pinpoint, because there was no obvious cause. It's not like maybe a car turned in front of me and it scared me, or just something like that. There wasn't anything that I could really tell that triggered it. But I have a theory now, and I
Okay.
think it was food. I
Yeah.
really believe it was food. I believe it
Yeah.
was what I was eating, and that because I didn't always just eat exactly the same thing, but I'm thinking that maybe periodically something that I ate, and I really don't know what it was, but I think that something I ate would just trigger it. And I noticed in my later years, of course, I was keto from, well, I low carb for sure since 2015. I'm not sure exactly when I slid into keto. I just sort of slid into all of it. But um, once in a blue moon, I would make the mistake of, in early on, of having bread, and it would just, make me bloat, make me miserable, just awful. So I'm wondering if maybe, although I can't really pinpoint that bread actually caused panic attacks, but yeah,
Yeah,
bread is something that I can't. I haven't had bread in forever now, but
me too.
yeah, it would make me bloat. I made the mistake once. My brother, I think this is the last time I had it. Actually, was my brother came over and brought a pizza, and and oddly enough, this same brother is now very low carb. I think he's going to jump into
Nice.
carnivore.
Good for
I think
him.
he is. Yes, yes, he's
That's
very low
great.
carb. So now when he comes over, he brings what we call meat cookies. So
Yeah.
he brings burger patties and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and bacon, like bacon burgers without the bun, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I'd like to
yeah,
just go back for a second.
sure.
You said a mouthful already,
I
so thank you
know
so
you
much.
told me to talk, and I
Yes,
left my
absolutely.
mouth.
You said, but there was one thing I wanted to just touch on. So you're a BI specialist.
Yes.
Yes, I am an IT program manager, project
Oh,
manager. So, you and I, our roles are very compatible.
yes, we are in the same world. And
We're
I
the
actually
same
did used to
world.
do BI work. I've actually done a lot. I've actually done development, web developing too, but
Mhm, mhm.
and database design and things like that.
Yes.
And then my career has kind of evolved. And so
Yeah.
now I deal more with the actual data. I
Okay.
do
So can
some
you just
QA.
explain, just for those of the folks out here who don't know what BI is, could
Hi.
you explain what it is?
Okay, a business intelligence specialist, they deal with statistics and data. So that, for example, a business intelligence specialist would probably come up with some of the statistics maybe that you see on TV that get twisted.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
some of like, 80% of this, and you're like, when you look at the data, then that's really not what it says, but a BI would compile that data. Sometimes you don't have control over how people report it, unfortunately, but
Right.
you do all kinds of
Easily be
analysis.
skewed. Mhm.
You just pull queries, like it could be anything from how many medical doctors are licensed in the state of Tennessee who live in Rutherford County between the ages of 50 and 55, for example.
Mhm.
You might be querying things like that. But
Yeah.
then there's so much more than that. I do a lot of quality assurance, but basically most of my job is data.
Yeah.
Just so that's why when I see this stuff on the news and things like that, I mean, my BS meter gets triggered because I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
where did they get that information? I want to see the raw data.
Right. Yes,
I
and you
want to
can
pick
interpret
this
it for
apart
yourself.
because I don't believe that this is accurate, or or they'll say something like there's been a 50% increase in crime in this neighborhood. Well, there was one, break in last year, and so this year there were two. Well,
Right.
I mean, yeah, technically that's a 50% increase, but I
Exactly.
mean, hello, you've got 365 days a year. You've got, X number of people that live in this area. Um,
Yes, there's a lot of, skewing of the data going
mhm,
on. So that gets me to my point about the type 2 diabetes that you talked about with your mom.
mhm,
Just the fact that all of these years, we have been taught that type 2 diabetes is a progressive chronic disease. You can't cure it. It's incurable.
mhm.
And so, yeah, eat what you want because you're going to be on more and more insulin until your limbs fall off. And you know what I mean? All this
Mhm,
kind of thing. So it's just really very sad. As a matter of fact, Judy D had a comment here I wanted to just pull up. So
mhm.
sad. Diabetes nutritional training still tells you to eat 3 meals, 2 snacks, carbs, fruit, blah, blah, blah.
That is so true. And oddly enough, like I said, when I had gestational diabetes with my daughter, this was in 1984. I was expecting her from in 84 and 85. And at that time, they said to eat basically meat and vegetables,
Mm.
and to avoid
Like,
what they said, the white foods like sugar, potatoes, pasta, things like rice. And I remember thinking, because here's another thing, I think me and Rick are the carnivore oddballs because
or geniuses is more like it.
I have been very slim my entire life, and both of my brothers actually, but the one I see the most and have the most contact with, I mean, he's still the same way too. Actually, my other brother is too, and we've just always been real slim that way. And so as an adult, I had maybe gained a little bit of weight, but like, for example, I'm 5'9", and so I don't know exactly how much weight I lost when I went keto, maybe like 15 or 20 pounds. So I stayed at 125 for a long time, for several years, just from 2015 on until
Wow.
the end of December of 22. Well,
How tall are
then
you?
I'm sorry.
How
Yeah,
tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
5'9". I think you just said that. Sorry, I
Mhm.
didn't catch it. Thank
Yep,
you.
5'9". So, however, I had a follow-up appointment with my doctor. It was about my mammogram. I mean, it wasn't anything bad, but I mean, it was just like this follow-up visit. And so they weighed me. This was in March, and I
Mhm.
had lost 15 pounds. I was down to 110
Oh.
on carnivore. And actually, it's funny. The nurse asked me, she said, "Did you lose this weight on purpose?" And I said, "No." And she says, "Do you eat meat?" And I said, "Yes, lots of it." Now, I didn't say that's all I ate, but I said, "Oh, yes, lots of it. Good fatty meat." And she says, "Oh, okay, okay, good, good." So I think, I mean, one of two things. They were trying to figure out if I had an eating disorder
Mhm.
and trying to figure out whether maybe I went vegan, because you do have, they do typically get to where
Waist
they're pretty
waist away?
emaciated and,
Yes.
now I had been going to this doctor for like 25 years. I started going to him right after he got out of med school. Actually, a friend recommended him. And he's great. Um, he always offers a statin every year, and I always politely decline. I've already explained to him that I'm only concerned about my metabolic health, and he doesn't nag me about it. I think he just has to check a box. And so he tells me or says, whatever, well, I have to recommend a statin. And I say, and I have to decline. And then that's okay. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was shocked. I mean, I knew my clothes were looser and everything, but I was like, oh my God, I have lost. Oh Lord, what am I going to do now? And so I have been doing some N=1 experiments.
Okay.
Um, like, for example, for a while, I had taken all dairy out, with the exception of butter. I did add my full fat Greek yogurt back in.
Mhm.
Um, I started incorporating body weight exercises. I've always taken my morning walks. First thing in the morning, I meditate, then I take my morning walk. So, and usually I'll do a couple miles in the morning. Now, granted, lately I have not because of nasty weather and the fact that it gets daylight so late. So my walks are shorter now, but they're already starting to get longer.
I know the light is
Lately they've been shorter, and I've got my weighted hula hoop that I use. So I do a lot of activity, but I was not doing um anything that was like really weightlifting. Other, I guess you
mhm.
could count maybe the toting the big heavy boxes of kitty litter. Like, I get these big 20-pound boxes of kitty litter, so I do tote those. And
Right.
sometimes now I intentionally take them up and down the stairs. Just, I have one in each. And
Weights.
I'll because they come in a box, like I'll order them from Amazon, and they come in a big giant box, and there's two
Oh,
20-pound boxes in a box. So I mean that
wow.
super is heavy. And so I'll carry one in each arm, and I'll go down the stairs and I'll go up the stairs. So that's one thing that I'll do to just kind of use what you have.
Mhm.
But I started doing planks and squats and things like that.
Yeah.
And I've got some dumbbells that I've started using. Christy from Meeting Wellness actually had recommended those, and I got a little frustrated with them. They're the ones that they're nested, and so they have a little thing that you slide in that
Mhm.
you can limit whichever amount of weight that you are. So, like, you can go, I think it's anywhere from 3 pounds to, I think it's 26 pounds or something like that. But you can just slide this thing in, and then you only pull up the amount of weight that you need. And so I've gotten much better at the transition part of that. So my patience has gotten better on carnivore, but I
That's
can
good.
tell you that I can still, I try to respond, not react to things. And I've been living by that philosophy for a while, but I've noticed that's gotten a lot easier. So yeah, I did get frustrated initially with those dumbbells, but now they're great. And so I do those, and I've debated on joining a gym.
Mhm.
Here's the thing, my morning meditation and my morning walks are just non-negotiable. It gets my head right. I'm right with God. I'm right with
Yes.
nature. I'm right. It's just a good way to just get positivity going in just to have something, you clear out your mind, you have a clean slate,
Yes.
and you're ready to go. And so that's my non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I could theoretically get up even earlier. I'm usually up somewhere between 4:30 and 5,
Ooh, that's
because
early.
my meditation is about, depending on which one I do, is between 45 minutes and an hour.
Okay. So
I
good
use,
meditating. That's
and
awesome.
it's and now I'm going to tell you, I'm still not anywhere near perfect at it.
Yeah.
And it takes, and it's squirrel, 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 and your mind can really. So the best thing to do, really, if at all possible, is meditate the very first thing in the morning. It's when you're still, ideally, you would do it like right after you wake up, but I have to feed my cat first, because if I don't, there will be no meditation.
Okay. Cass is like, I come first.
So I have to feed him. So I run downstairs real quick, feed him, then I go, and then I'm, sitting in the dark place, and I'm in my bedroom, and I'm meditating. And I started out with like 15-minute ones, and
Okay.
I've worked my way up. Now I've tried one that was like 2 hours and 10 minutes or something, and I struggled through that one. So I haven't, and now I haven't done that in the morning. And part of the reason could be that I did that one late in the evening too. But anyway, I've tried different types of meditations. My favorite is guided meditations by Dr. Joe Dispenza. There are tons of YouTube videos, and he's got great books. So if you're interested, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself is a
Mm.
wonderful, wonderful book. It's my favorite one by him. He's got several, but that one is my favorite. It's just it's parts of it fall in line with like the tiny habits and stuff, in the sense of how you see yourself and visualize yourself is what you become. So you become a person who does this. But he just goes into, he's actually, let's see, I think he started out as a chiropractor, but then he also, I believe, went back to school and studied neurology and stuff. So like,
Oh,
there's a lot of science involved in uh, all of his work. So when he talks about things, there is a kind of, to the people who don't understand, who haven't been exposed, they kind of think of it as woo woo maybe, but then
yeah.
there's science that actually backs up the woo woo.
Mhm. Well, that's good. 'Cause,
Like
you
how
know
your brain reacts to like certain breathing exercises, and when you incorporate all, as you breathe, each chakra becomes activated, and how your brain reacts to all of that. They've actually done analysis, hooked up electrodes, and read the brain waves and stuff like that. So it's fascinating stuff.
That is interesting. I started recently doing some Wim Hof breathing
Oh yeah.
exercises.
Hmm.
I struggle with my sleep, so I started to try to put some Wim Hof breathing exercises in. I know that deep breathing exercises can definitely help you fall asleep, but I'm hoping that maybe practicing those methods might be beneficial to maybe getting more deep sleep or more sleep overall. So yeah, definitely. You know, I'm trying it.
Hmm. And he does have bedtime meditations too, which I don't do those every night, but I do them sometimes. And they are very relaxing and helpful to me. It's just that sometimes I just don't think I could stay awake long enough to do them, so I just go ahead and go to bed. But then, it just depends. So I am not consistent about doing those every night, but every morning I can count on one hand in the last couple years the times that I've missed meditation. If I miss it, I feel discombobulated the whole day. It's like it just doesn't feel right to me. And I actually, while I'm meditating, I talk to God. I refer to Source as God,
Mhm.
and I just focus on love, love, that kind of, and God, love, that kind of thing. While when I have to get my focus shifted back, because I'll start thinking about, oh, I've got to remember to run that report in the morning, or as soon
Yes,
as I log in, or just whatever, squirrel, 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 and I had to, okay, focus, love,
absolutely.
God, love.
Yes.
But yeah,
I
there's a
want
lot going on in this brain I have here, but
Yeah, it
it can be a
sounds like
scary
it.
place.
I wanted to say one thing. You and I are the same age.
Huh?
I'm 57 also. My birthday's in July. So, do you have grandbabies?
I have one, and he is 15.
Oh
It's
my
my
god.
daughter's, yeah, it's my daughter's son. Yep.
Wow,
Yep.
just
So I just,
one. I
yep.
have 11.
I know. You are a busy
So
carnivorous grandma.
crazy. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that there are so many, but they're awesome. But that's awesome. Do you get to are they around in your area or do you get to spend time?
Yes. They live just a couple miles away. So I see them all the time.
That
Yep.
is awesome. That's the best. Isn't being a grandma so much better than being a mom?
Yes. I think it's Dave Ramsey who says, if I'd known how great it would be to have grandkids, I'd have been nicer to their parents.
Right. Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
hilarious. So there's lots going on in the chat. A couple of things I want to just point out here. We talked a little bit about, stress eating. Judy D says she was a stress eater, ice cream, carbs, and yuck. And, her goal is also to let others know the truth. So,
Hmm.
yeah, this is really awesome because, YouTube, I mean, like you said, before YouTube became such a big thing, there used to be libraries and there used to be books.
I still
There
have a
used
bunch of those.
yeah, that you could actually go and, like put your hand on it and read it and not have it read itself to you.
I know, right? We have gotten so spoiled. And
Yeah.
I've always collected old history books and
Okay.
old textbooks. And I found a book at the Goodwill for $1 that was called The Body. And it was came out in 1968. And it was talking about sugar versus the fats. And I mean,
Oh,
and they actually said, indicated in this book that the argument against sugar seems to be more compelling
wow.
than the argument against fat. And I mean, this is a big, thick book. I was like, oh my gosh. And so there were warnings in this book. They were talking, there were, who was it? Was it Lustig? I believe it was
Mhm.
Lustig. Yes. And where he was warning that it was going to cause metabolic problems and all these warnings about using seed oils too, talking
Wow.
about that. And then, yes, and then all those predictions about metabolic health, diabetes, obesity, all of that came true. Did a video, and I think I'm going to do another one and kind
Mhm.
of, fix it up and maybe communicate a little bit better. That was one of my earlier videos, and it probably wasn't that good. But just want to put stuff out there though.
Yeah.
And
Want
but
the world to know the truth,
mhm.
like, the truth will make you free. That's what the word says. So,
And
and
it
that's what I
will.
want
And
to
but
see,
that, yeah, that book was just incredible, especially that part, because I was just like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh.
The interesting thing about that is that they've known this.
Yes.
They've actually known this for hundreds of years and have kept it from us for the purpose of the almighty dollar, you know, because the stuff that we are eating today is not even food.
No.
Not even food. I saw a person on my Facebook page, they had a picture of an ice cream sandwich that was
Hmm.
on a paper plate and had been on a paper plate for 24 hours and was still looking the same as it did when it came out the wrapper. How can you tell me that that's
So it
food?
didn't melt. Now, back when I
Didn't
was a
melt.
kid, if you didn't eat that thing, it would melt.
Yep, it
Now
would
we
melt.
didn't have, I will say this though, when I was growing up, we didn't have ice cream sandwiches. We didn't have sodas. My
Mhm.
mother, she didn't get what she called sugary cereals. And so
Yeah, that was crazy to me.
it's just so weird that, it perplexes me, and this is a little bit off the subject, my squirrel brain, I guess, but it perplexes me at how, and I think it's just that they convinced her or told her that she could eat what she wanted, because she was like convinced, or, she was always very sugar conscious, so to speak. So, no, we didn't have sodas. Now, I'm not saying we didn't have carbs, because we did. We had like bologna sandwiches and PB&J and stuff like that. But
Right.
in terms of
Yeah.
like sugar, no, she didn't get sugary cereals and all that. She just was against all that stuff. So colas, especially, she would not allow it. So like I would drink soda if I went to somebody's house that had it, but we did not have it in the house.
Good
It's
for
very
your mom. I
perplexing.
mean, I think the thing is, like we're just talking about, is that the the information that people started to get is that all of this stuff, the Kellogg and all of that stuff, that this stuff is good for you. These processed foods, these chemicals basically are good food for the human body. And, we're coming to find out that what they used to say back in the day before all of
Mhm.
that was actually accurate. And the stuff that blew my mind about that. I mean, of course, I know that that's not food. So if anybody
Mhm.
had asked me, like, should I be eating ice cream sandwiches? I would have said, no, it's not food.
Right.
But just the fact that it just stayed on a plate in the same shape it was when you unwrapped it for a whole day, that's crazy. And
Yeah, I
people
mean,
are eating this and
you
thinking
would
it's food.
I'm thinking that the composition of it is different
Mhm.
than
It's
what
definitely
it
not
used
ice
to be.
cream, you know what I mean?
No.
Because ice cream will melt.
Yes, it will.
So,
Wow, that's incredible.
that is incredible. So, I just wanna kinda go through a few. There's so many comments in the chat. I'm trying to keep up, you guys, but my gosh. So, let's see here. There was one here. Judy says her daughter was born in '85 too, at 26 weeks. Oh,
Oh,
yeah, God is amazing. God is absolutely amazing. My grandson was born, he just turned 9, and he was born also at, I think, at around 26 weeks. He was a very
mm.
tiny, tiny little guy. I've never seen a baby so tiny, but he's doing amazing now, so that's awesome. Susan Hampton has a daughter. Second daughter was born in '85. My oldest daughter was born in '85 as well.
What?
Yes. Yep. My oldest daughter was born in 85. So, Sandra was we were talking about cholesterol. Says that her doctor is terrified of cholesterol. Been on statins since I was in my 20s. 61
Oh,
now and
no.
not taking them. Good for you, Sandra. Good for you. So I'm expecting another panic attack from the doctor in the next visit. I think the doctors are wrong about cholesterol. What do you think, Carrie?
Oh, for sure. And here's the thing about doctors, and I have a lot of compassion for them because they've
Mhm.
been. I mean, you think about it, there might be some who do that profession specifically for money, but
Yeah.
majority of them, if you just talk to them or whatever, like I've seen interviews and different things, they went in it maybe because their mother had cancer or just some situation in their life, or they had to go to the ER and the doctor saved them, or just whatever it was.
Right.
They have a different reason. They want to help humanity in some way.
Yes.
So they go in and they're wide eyed, they're bright eyed and bushy tailed, they're ready to go. They want to save the world. And then instead, I think for a lot of them, what happens is it becomes something completely different. You are told how you're going to practice,
That's right.
you are told that you need to recommend these drugs for these conditions. These things, this is what they're taught. And so
Mm,
they don't know.
right.
And
Absolutely
then
true.
they get into practice. And of course, now they've got student loans, they've got a mortgage, they've got a practice that they may have bought into. So they've got
Mhm.
all this debt. And come to find out, now you have to sit on the computer and you can't even look at your patient. My doctor actually had, he hasn't like opened up or anything by any means, but like he
Mhm.
made a comment and I'm like, yeah, I get that you're frustrated, because like he was entering this stuff into the computer and trying to have a conversation with me. You know what I'm saying? So but they have to check off all the boxes. There's so much more. And I look at back when, when I first ever went to the doctor versus now, and I mean, there's so much more paperwork. There's so much more, um, just it just seems more convoluted or something. And there's not that much of the process doesn't allow for that much patient doctor connection.
You're right.
And so I feel for the doctors, and I think that a lot of what has happened is that they just got into a whole situation that they weren't expecting. It's not that they were going to be able to sit and take this time with this patient and let's figure out what's wrong with them. Oh, well, you've got this. Well, here, take this,
Right.
prescription pad. That's a big part of it. And I also understand, and you may have gone through this yourself, it's hard to accept somebody telling you how to do your job. And by that I mean that as a person in IT, in various positions in IT, I have had lay people who don't do this every day, but they know just enough to be dangerous to
Yes.
try to tell me how to fix something.
Right. Yep.
And I'm always willing to listen to whatever somebody has to say, but when they present it in a way that's like, well, I know this, and it could just be the way they're saying it. They may not even intend it to be that way. So I think if you're really careful with how you talk with your doctor, because I would understand if, I mean, they've been through all this medical school, and by God, they got the student loans to show for it.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
they've been through all of this, and then they've got somebody, and I can understand they went to Dr. Google. I understand where that comes from in
Mhm.
their minds.
Right.
I don't think a doctor should ever be ugly or rude or mean to somebody.
Right. Yes.
That I'm not excusing bad behavior, but what I am saying is if you put yourself in their shoes and have some compassion, and think with, with love in your heart, and you talk to them as another human being, because like Dr. Berry says, doctors are just dudes and chicks.
Yes.
Now, if they're mean or rude or ugly to you, then by all means. But like my doctor, he was pretty, I mean, he was freaked out when my LDL first went up, and this was when I first went keto.
Mhm.
But I just explained to him, I'm more concerned about my metabolic health.
Right.
And
Yes.
you have more risk of heart disease when you're diabetic. So therefore, I'm going to hedge my bets.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
but being kind and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. My daughter is a PA, so I totally understand and agree with where you're coming from on that. I know that there's not I don't think that there is malicious intent. I think they don't
Mhm.
know.
They
They've
don't.
just been taught the wrong thing, you know what I mean? So Nurse Kim here is saying, "Hi,
Mhm.
Nurse Kim. I'm reaching out to you. I'm sending you an Instagram message today. I just fired my doctor today, and all they did was talk to me about taking statins and didn't
Mhm.
even order basic labs, CBC, and BMP. I have the
Oh my,
utmost compassion and respect for good doctors. I do too."
yeah. And I agree, Kim. I mean, some of them you can't work with for whatever
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She
they
says
are a
the
product of a broken
product of a
system.
broken system. That's right. And it's so concerning because, I was talking to my mom who did carnivore with me for a little bit. She's trying to get back on it, but she did it for 5 weeks and she went and talked to her doctor. And I think the doctor scared her off of it, to be honest, because the doctor told her, she said, "I'm on a carnivore diet." The doctor was like, "I don't know what that is." And she said, "Well, it's just I just eat meat." And she said, "No." She told her, "No, you can't do that. You have to
Mhm.
have fiber for your gut microbiome, and you have to have fruit and vegetables." And so I really feel like that doctor scared my mom off of carnivore, and she was feeling great. I mean, she was making great progress on it.
Mhm.
I think she's gonna try to get back on it, but it's just so sad because, you know, this should be a good, viable option for anyone to try, to be honest. It should just be a viable option for anybody to try.
And for nothing, if nothing else, just to eliminate everything and then gradually see what you can add back. You
Mhm.
don't
Right,
necessarily have to stay carnivore for the rest of your life.
right.
However, for me, I believe I am carnivore for life. I
I do
can't
too.
I
Yeah,
can't imagine going back. I mean,
me too.
I've thought about it and I'm like, I really don't like vegetables that much anyway. Like I said, I liked salads pretty well. But then when you think about it, I can't remember who said it now, but they said, "Oh, you really don't like the salad. You like all that extra." And I mean, yeah, you like the chicken and the grapes and the nuts and the balsamic vinegar dressing.
Mhm.
You really don't like salad that much. And
Right.
you come to think of it, it's like, yeah, well, that's true. So I don't know. I mean, I have my full fat Greek yogurt as my treat.
I
And
saw that on your video. I was watching one of your videos and you had a big old plate of it. I was like, "Ooh, what is that?" I couldn't tell what it was when looked at the picture, the thumbnail, but, then you said it was Greek yogurt. I was like, "Ooh, that's yummy
yeah,
stuff."
it's the good full fat kind Cabots. It's delicious. It's a great
Mhm.
brand. You can find it at Publix or Walmart. And I generally get mine at Publix simply because I just don't have the patience for Walmart. Carnivore has not fixed that, okay?
Mm-mm.
I don't
Mm-mm.
I don't
Everybody
have
in
the
there needs to go
patience.
on carnivore, and then it could be fixed probably. Yeah, I live right up the street from, Walmart on one side of the road and Meijer Thrifty Acres on the other side of the road. They don't call it Thrifty Acres anymore, but Meijer.
Mhm.
And, I just never go to Walmart. I never go there. Yeah. As a matter
I
of fact,
do Aldi and, Kroger too,
there was a
but
crazy shooting or something at our Walmart this week. I'm like, "What? This is
oh
crazy in
my
Kalamazoo, Michigan? That's crazy." All right. So, another one here is Arlene. She says, "I'm so thankful for carnivore. My husband is 4 months carnivore and has lost 33 pounds. Congratulations to your husband, Arlene. He's now feeling there's more to life now for him because he was feeling useless and that life was over." See that depression?
Mhm.
It's serious. Like, I don't think I could go back because of the carb. Um, you know, I have a carb, um, like I can't eat carbs, they make me want to have more carbs.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
Is
mean,
that
that's
an
their job. That's
addiction
what they
or yeah.
do.
Yeah, so this that's why keto was not sustainable for me for the long term. Keto works absolutely fantastic. And if you're able to eat those 20 carbs or less and still stay keto, then yes, I say go
Mhm,
for it.
mhm.
It's definitely part of the proper human diet spectrum, but for me, it just wasn't sustainable for the long term because I couldn't stay on it. I kept cheating.
Yeah. Well,
I
and another thing is what a lot of people consider keto, they think about the stuff that's in the store.
Mhm.
And really,
That's true.
keto, and I hate to use this term, but, please forgive me, but keto done correctly is really whole foods. So if you're gonna do nuts, avocados, things like that, whole
Mhm.
foods, in other words, whole
Yeah,
low carb foods, and,
right.
your meats, of course, your bacon, eggs, all of that, and it really should be meat heavy, which I
Mhm.
know a lot of women are fat shy in that they don't, they've been told for so long that the red meat and the fat is bad. Now, I can say that I've never had a problem eating fatty meat. When the kids were young, we had, barbecue, we had smokers, and my ex-husband would smoke barbecue, and he would
Mhm.
actually sell it like at holidays and stuff, but he would make ribs and, pulled pork, and do the big chubs of bologna, smoke those, and wings and all this stuff. And so he always, and see, this is also my explanation. I never was really, not that he said you can't cook meat, but I mean, he was just the expert. So I never cooked meat.
Mhm.
So therefore, trying to cook, I mean, I would just, especially being carnivore, and I mean, that's all you eat. I mean, I do, ground beef and burger patties. I do meal prep, boiled
Mhm.
eggs, but then I also will scramble, or my favorite eggs are sunny side up. I just love them sunny side up. But I mean, I'm branching out now into cooking different types of meat. And I've actually got a Ninja Foodie. My
Nice.
My first burger, oh my gosh, I did my first burger patties in it, right after I first got it, and of course, I did a video, and I mean, it was a shameful result, but I mean, they were hockey pucks. But I went ahead and I showed the video anyway, and just, posted it, and just,
Right.
because this is it. This is real. I tried it, and, it was, you know, an ID10T error. Think
Yeah.
about that, in IT,
Right.
ID10, yeah, ID, yeah. Okay, well, anyway,
ID10T.
yes, tab
ID10T.
ID10T,
I
yeah.
don't think so though, but
So I've since adjusted, and I can do burger patties in there, but oddly enough, I don't do burger patties in there much unless I'm just doing like one or two, like on the spot. When I do my meal prep, I just do them in the oven still, because
yeah.
you can do
Okay.
more, and I just do them that way.
Yeah.
So I am branching out though. I've done ribeyes in the foodie now, and so I am getting better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just did a video today with Christy, and we did ribeyes in the air fryer.
Uh-huh.
So your foodie is an air fryer, right? It does air
Yeah.
fry. Well, yeah, so it was super good. So yes, the air fryer will do a nice job on a ribeye, that's for sure.
Hmm.
We cooked them from frozen, so that was fun.
Yes. And I was like, well, okay, you cook it, because I was like looking online too for various, for instructions and stuff. I mean, it has a booklet, but there's a video for everything now. So I was looking, and I was like, really, from Frozen? But I did that, and I was like, huh, yeah, this is awesome.
Yes, yes. If you really forgot to take it out
Yeah.
and you can just throw that thing right in the air fryer, it's pretty awesome. All right, Nurse Kim said this was the second year in a row that they just let the absolute basics slide. That's a bummer, Nurse Kim.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I don't
kind of
blame
sad.
you.
Yep, yep. Running Tap says, "Yep, ditch the arrogant doctors." I agree with
Mhm.
that. And the
Yeah.
yogurt that you said was Cabot. Somebody put that in the comments. Arlene says, "My husband is 68 and retired 1.5 years ago and felt life was over, and we had lost 70 pounds each on low carb, but still have 50 to go. He had 120 pounds to go, and now carnivore is helping so much. That's
Oh,
amazing, Arlene. So exciting. That's awesome. Very, very
huzzah!
huzzah. Yes.
Big huzzah!
So Judy says I got to use my air fryer, and I need to learn. Oh, the Instapot is just fabulous. Do you have an Instant Pot?
I actually do have one. My daughter gave one
Oh,
to
it's
me. She
nice.
got a new one. My daughter is a total foodie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and my mother was actually a really good cook, and her grandma and my daughter's grandmother on her father's side was also a fabulous cook. And so
Mm-hmm.
Cassandra, well, she don't care, but she inherited the cooking gene from her grandmothers. And I think, I mean, I'm not saying I can't. I don't enjoy cooking like they did. I'll put it that way. It's not something that I just am like, oh yay, I want to go in and concoct this. It's just like I want the fastest thing possible.
Mm-hmm.
So, I could easily become a victim to convenience foods, and I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's not necessarily that I crave this or crave that. It's just, easy. So that's why I make sure I do my meal prep too. That is just key to anybody out there. If you're addicted to the convenience, whether it's or just like the packaged foods, I should say, whether it's for convenience or whether it's because you're addicted to just whatever, just do your meal prep. Don't have it in the house and do your meal prep. And that will take care of a large part of it, because I can tell you there are times when I've put in a long day at work and I don't feel like even sticking something in the air fryer. I just want to
Mm-hmm.
nuke something in a minute and eat. I mean, that sounds terrible, but it's true. I mean, some of my days are really long,
Right.
but yeah, I have not ever used my Instapot.
Oh my
I
gosh.
haven't used it, so I need to. I need to.
It's good for like, let's say you want to do a roast in an hour.
Mhm.
You can do that roast in an hour in the Instapot. That's awesome. Like where it typically would take 4 or 5 hours to bake, you know?
Yeah, and, like, I do things in the crock pot. I
Mm-hmm.
will put a roast in the crock pot, and so I'm still kind of old-fashioned that way. I do use a crock pot
Mm-hmm.
and
Me
cook
too.
lots of stuff,
If you got
but
time, but when
yeah.
you forgot to take it out, you forgot.
Mhm.
Yeah, then you can
Well,
do it in the
I do
Instant.
work from home, and so
Oh,
I
me too.
can put it, if I think about it, like, the night before, I think, "Okay,
Mhm.
I wanna go ahead and in the morning, I'm gonna put blah, blah in the crock pot." And so I'll get a roast or something like that, and go ahead and let it thaw, and then I'll put it in the crock pot, in the
Yes.
morning, and then I'm here while it's, cooking all day and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and like I do a crock pot chili that has no beans.
Carnivore?
It's not carnivore completely, so I
Oh,
do it at Christmas.
yeah.
It is very low carb, but there are no beans in it. I don't
Mhm.
think beans belong in chili, and Texans don't
Me
either,
too.
apparently.
I don't like beans in my chili.
And it's very close to Nicole's recipe, so it's not completely
Okay.
carnivore, but it's very, very low carb, and I make my famous chili. That's probably the about the only kind of food I would be considered famous for. My kids like my chili, and they always ask me if I'm gonna make it, so I believe that they are sincere, so therefore I make it and have them come over on Christmas Eve, and my grandson, and just my dad and various people, whoever wants to come and have my chili.
That
So,
sounds good. I've been thinking about chili lately, but I don't eat
mhm.
any tomatoes anymore. So I'm like, okay, how am
Yep.
I gonna make it taste chili-ish, you know? So
Yeah, there are some carnivore recipes out there, and I would actually, I think I might try one of those pretty
Mhm.
soon.
Yeah.
I
I just
did have
so
tomatoes in the
good.
chili that I made at Christmas on Christmas Eve.
Mm,
It
mhm.
did have tomatoes, but that was that and onions and some spices and stuff. So
Yes. Yes, yes. So
broth.
Judy hasn't used her Instant Pot either. So,
Yeah.
I want to put this up here. So, what are you enjoying? So, Cordelia is carnivore for 7 months and lately been loving the meat very rare. So, how do you like your meat?
Oh my goodness, I like mine rare.
Yeah, I'm
I
like a
like mine
medium
rare.
rare.
And what's funny is my mother, of course, always cooked everything almost to death.
Yes, yes, they
She
did.
did. She would cook. I
Yeah,
mean, like everything was well done and stuff. And so I just thought that it had to be that way.
yes.
And I accidentally got a wrong order at Charlie's back. Oh gosh, maybe I guess it's been 30 years ago or more. Time I have time passage disorder. Something that I think maybe happened in 10 years, 10 years ago was actually like 30 years ago. It's just
Oh,
hard to, when as you're older, you
yes.
remember back, and sometimes it's hard to put a time frame on something.
Mhm.
But anyway, so but the order was wrong, and because I had ordered it medium well, and it
Oh,
came like basically if you stuck it with a fork, it bled. And you know what? I was so hungry by the time we got it. I ate it, and it was the best steak I ever had. And so
yep.
after that, that's how I had it. So even before I went carnivore, yeah, medium rare.
Yeah. Medium rare is my temperature as well. So, I can't believe it's been an hour already. Oh my
This has
gosh,
been
it's
fabulous.
crazy. But I wanna share your channel. So let me bring that up. Here we go. Oh, wait a minute. That ain't right. Hold on a sec. Let me try again. Oh my gosh, something is weird going on with my oh, I feel like I have like a some kind of a virus or something. What? Why is this going to
Oh,
Yahoo? Weird.
oh Lord.
Oh my gosh. Don't like that. Okay, let me go here. Mm. I was just looking at your channel earlier today. Okay. There we go. All right, let's try that one more time.
I was gonna ask you, maybe you need to reboot your computer.
Yes, I will. I
No,
definitely
that's always the IT, the tech support thing. The first
right.
thing is, did you reboot your computer?
Right, exactly. Yep, I will reboot it as soon as we get done here. All right, tell us about your channel.
All right. Well, I started it actually because Dr. Barry was encouraging people to start a channel, and so was
Mhm.
Carrie. I discovered Carrie of Homestead How. I think most of us did probably about the same time. Um, it was like maybe the 1st of June or something. It was like right after he put out his video, his about how excited he was about carnivore.
Yes.
So he started talking about doing a documentary. And so I
Yes.
was like, well, and he said, you could create a YouTube channel and you can go ahead and um, put your video there. And then that way he would be able to just access it. And if you wanted to make it private, you could do that. And,
Mhm.
so I was like, well, okay, I'll start a YouTube channel. So that was what I did. And I just started posting videos. My first was an introduction video, and then after that, I just and there's just a variety of things. Some of it's like N=1 results or lab results and stuff like that. And I also have started posting like good morning
I
little
saw that.
shorts, just showing the sunrise, whatever it happens to look like, whether it's an ugly day or a beautiful day, because I want to show too that, it can be a cloudy, ugly day today, but
Mhm.
it'll get better. The sun is going to, the sun will shine again. This is temporary. Whatever this is that you're going through is temporary. And I just want to give people some kind of motivation. And it also helps motivate me too. And
Right.
I want to send love and positivity out there. But sometimes it's just what I eat for breakfast. I did a 31-day challenge
Mhm.
of eating breakfast every day, trying to also, maybe I could eat more that way to help build up my muscle and everything, because I'm working on doing that.
Yes.
So, oh, and I do have a video that I'm going to post soon. I've just got to finish editing it, about the scale that I got.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
it's one that Brett at Who's Your Carnivore had told me about that I think was
Awesome.
actually featured on Kelly Hogan's site. But anyway, it's $22 on Amazon, and it measures all kinds of stuff. Now, how accurate it
Oh,
is, I don't know, but I haven't owned a scale in years. So I went ahead and got a scale. I thought, well, this will be interesting to experiment with, and at least I can track based on this measurement. The only measurement I've really tracked is my doctor's office, whatever their scale
yes.
says. So
Right.
I don't go there very often. So,
Mhm. Right. Exactly. You don't need to go there, right?
right.
Yes. Well, Carrie, this has been awesome. We didn't even get to talk about music, like, really, we didn't get to talk about it, so
Well, that's all right.
we can talk again.
Maybe we can do a part two or
Yeah,
something.
we'll have
But
to do a
yeah,
part 2.
music is definitely a huge
'Cause
part
that's
of
the
my life.
key, right? That's a key thing. I'm like, "I gotta talk with this rocker." She's a rocker, you guys. I grew up as a rocker. So, I'm more into the gospel music now, but I grew up a rocker.
And I love gospel music, and I actually like country a whole lot more than I did when I was growing up. I didn't appreciate it back then, and of course, you don't like what your parents like. I mean, that's that. So
Yeah,
I like a lot of. Oh, thank you, Susie. I
that's
hope so.
awesome. I thought so too. I feel like, Carrie, that you're such a kind soul, like, you're you're generous with your kindness. So I appreciate that very, very much. And, even when we're talking about the doctors, we can be kind of we're upset,
Yeah.
upset about what's going on in our world and with our people. And you look around and you see everybody, even the kids have metabolic syndrome,
Mhm.
and it's very concerning. So it's easy to become very frustrated, but I don't see that out of you. I always hear you being positive and giving grace. So I appreciate that so very much. It's awesome to see that in the world.
Oh, well, thank you. I haven't always been. I've always been pretty optimistic and everything, but I mean, a lot of self work and reflection especially over the last probably, well, I guess maybe a little bit before I started keto or carniv crap. Come on, Carrie, get it together. But around maybe like 2012, something like that. So it was a little bit before starting low carb, paleo, whatever that was that I started with initially. I started really delving into like self help and personal development and things like that, and reading a lot of stuff about positivity um, and then of course, I'm a believer, so there's that too. And I incorporate, I believe all of it. I don't think, in other words, like that meditation or anything like that is in conflict with. I
Right.
believe that's all a part of the same thing. You're tuning into God when you're
Yes.
doing that, and so. But it's a lot of self work, and I just believe I want to be a light. There's too much darkness in the world. There's too many people that are angry and hating each other, and I don't I don't allow that in my life. That's why I don't watch television or the news, and instead I want to focus on good positive things. And maybe people think I'm Pollyanna, maybe, I don't know, but I believe it's just you can focus on the good or you can focus on the bad, and I choose the good, and I want
Yes.
to spread good to the world, you know.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Well, I want to appreciate you so much for being here. I just want to mention that if you are here with us today, and you're interested in being interviewed on Carnivorous Grandma Speaks, I would ask for you to send me an email. So I'm going to put my little ticker thingy up here, and I'll show you my email address. My email address is robin.heron@hotmail.com. Yes, I still have an old Hotmail account.
I still have an old AOL account.
You do? Oh my gosh. Now
Yes.
see, you're taking it way back.
I know, back to that dial-up moment.
Yep, yep, yep. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, so let me know. Send me an email and we will get you scheduled. You do not have to have a YouTube channel to be on Carnivorous Grandma Speaks. And this, of course, is Women of Wisdom. But of course, I do have other versions of Carnivorous Grandma Speaks. So if you're a guy and you want to be on here, come on and be on, and let's hear your story. All right, Carrie, it's been great. Thank you so much for coming, and we will see you guys next time. Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you, everybody.